Imagine this. You've spent 10 years grinding, really grinding, working weekends, saying no to vacations, living on instant noodles and dreams just to save up for your future. You finally hit your goal, $250,000, 0 cents in your account. Your dream home is just a few clicks away. Then one night, you open your banking app and it's gone. Every single dollar. Not lost, not hacked, stolen. And the ones who took it? Your own parents, the people who raised you. Turns out they'd been watching your every moves, secretly tracking your computer, your passwords, your finances, and they used it to drain your life savings to fund your Golden Boy Brothers startup. When I confronted them, they actually laughed and said, "Thanks for being so naive, James. You just secured Ethan's future." But here's what they didn't know. By stealing from me, they triggered something that would blow their whole plan apart. So yeah, buckle up, because this isn't just a story about betrayal, it's a story about payback. What's up, everyone? I'm James, and I'm not gonna lie, this story still makes my blood boil. But I'm sharing it because if you've ever felt used, manipulated, or betrayed by the people you thought you could trust most, you're not alone. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from, or if you've ever had to deal with shady family drama, because this one gets wild. I used to live a pretty chill life. Nothing fancy, just me, a tiny apartment that smelled like old books and leftover coffee, and a dream. Save enough money to buy a real house, a place I could call mine. That $250,000, 0 cents was everything. I earned it one late night, one canceled trip, one busted laptop at a time. It wasn't just money, it was my future. Without me. But my parents? Yeah, they've always had this weird obsession with my money. Not in a proud, supportive kind of way, but like they were secretly keeping tabs on everything I did, always one step away from telling me I was doing it wrong. Every time we had our weekly phone call, my mom would throw in these comments that sounded like concern, but felt more like control. "James, are you sure that savings account is the best move?" she'd ask, pretending to care. "With inflation and how the market's going, maybe it's smarter to invest in something like Ethan's startup?" Every time she brought him up, it hit a nerve. Ethan, my younger brother, the golden child, the one who could fail upward and still be praised like he invented the internet. He dropped out of college, changed majors 3 times before quitting altogether, and somehow my parents still talked about him like he was the next Steve Jobs. His tuition? Covered completely, no questions asked. His vague, half-baked idea for a wellness tech app that nobody understood. A bold vision for the future, according to my dad. Meanwhile, I put myself through college, graduated debt-free, got a stable engineering job, never asked them for a single dime, and my big milestones barely got a nod. When I told them I'd hit $250,000, 0 cents in my savings, their reaction wasn't excitement or pride. It was silence, followed by, "Wow, so you're just gonna let that sit there?" I should have known something was off. I thought they were just annoying, maybe a little too into Ethan's world and too dismissive of mine, but it went deeper, way deeper. I didn't know that behind all those passive-aggressive jabs and fake concern, they were planning something. At the time, I figured I'd just keep doing me. I wasn't trying to prove anything to them. I just wanted a future that I built myself, without handouts, without drama, without debt. What I didn't realize was that every time I shared a screenshot of my bank progress, every time I logged into my laptop while visiting home, every time I casually mentioned numbers, they were collecting information. And Ethan? He was part of it. I didn't know it yet, but they were watching. Literally. What tipped me off was stupid, really. My mom made a joke about a new coffee machine I was looking at, something I'd only searched online, not mentioned out loud. It creeped me out. Then I noticed random apps running on my laptop, slowing things down. I chalked it up to updates, until I ran a deep scan and saw something I didn't. Install remote monitoring software. That's when the pit in my stomach grew into a full-on storm. I checked my bank account, my credit report, everything. At first, nothing looked wrong, but the next week, when I logged into my savings, it was gone. Like gone. Not moved, not transferred, wiped. My name was still on the account, but the funds? 0. I called the bank, thinking maybe it was fraud, but no. There had been a withdrawal request fully verified with my info. It made no sense. That money had 2-factor authentication, biometric verification, and everything. How could anyone get through it? Unless they had been watching. unless someone had the passwords before I even knew I'd need to protect them. I went cold. I called my parents in a panic, asking if they knew anything. My dad calmly said, "We saw this coming. You were being irresponsible letting that money sit there. We helped you put it to better use." I asked what that even meant, and he said it like it was no big deal. "We invested in Ethan's company. You wouldn't help, so we made the decision for you." And my mom? She laughed. "Thanks for being so naive, James," she said. "Now your savings are securing your brother's future." I was frozen. Shocked. But the worst part? They actually believed they had done the right thing. That stealing from me, lying to me, spying on me was somehow okay because they did it for the family. But they didn't know the full story. Because that money, it wasn't as clean-cut as they thought, and what they didn't just steal from me. They messed with something they didn't fully understand. And now, I was done being the quiet one. Looking back, the first red flag was smallest to miss. My work laptop, which usually ran like a dream, started acting weird. Programs froze, files lagged, and websites loaded like I was using dial-up. I cleaned the hard drive, ran virus scans, updated drivers, everything. Nothing worked. I thought maybe it was just tech getting old. But then my parents' questions started getting oddly specific. "Still planning on that house, James?" my mom would ask sweetly, voice dripping with fake concern. "You sure your savings are holding up in this economy?" It didn't feel like small talk. It felt like they were fishing for something, like they already knew more than I was telling them. My gut told me something was off, but I chalked it up to stress from the house hunt. Then one night, while poking around Task Manager to figure out what was slowing my system down, I saw a strange program buried in the background. Some vague, system-sounding name I didn't recognize. I Googled it from my phone, and what came up made my blood run cold. It was tracking software, not just a keylogger. This stuff recorded everything. Screenshots, webcam access, saved passwords. My hands went numb. Why would this be on my laptop? Then it hit me. I'd let my parents borrow my laptop once while I was visiting, thinking nothing of it. And years ago, I gave them my online banking login to help transfer money when I was in college. I never changed it. My stomach turned. I opened my bank account, praying it was all in my head, but it wasn't. My $250,000, 0 cents, was gone. Just gone. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. One massive transfer, out, last Tuesday, to an unfamiliar account. My whole body felt hollow, like I couldn't breathe. That money was my house, my future, my peace of mind. I drove to their house the next morning, shaking, thinking maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I'd been hacked and they'd help me figure it out. But the second I walked through the door and saw Ethan lounging on the couch like a spoiled prince, I knew. My parents looked surprised, but not innocent. "My savings are gone," I said, my voice cracked and raw. My mom gasped, all fake and wide-eyed. "Oh, no, sweetie, were you hacked?" My dad leaned forward like he was trying to act concerned. "You sure it wasn't a glitch? Online banking can be tricky." I showed them the transaction log. Their faces changed instantly. My mom turned pale. My dad's jaw locked tight. Then he dropped the act. "We facilitated a transfer for family," he said coldly. I was stunned. Facilitated? That was my house money. 10 years of savings. You stole it. My mom rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic, James. We supported you your whole life. It's family money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You stole my future," I said, shaking. My dad stood up, his voice rising. "We needed it for Ethan's startup. That money's going to secure our future, not just yours." I looked at Ethan, who just blinked like he had no clue what was going on. Then my dad leaned in with the most smug smile I've ever seen. "Thanks for your naivety, James. Your money's going to do great things now. For people who deserve it." And something in me just snapped. But not in a breakdown way. I started laughing, a dark, dry laugh that caught them off guard. "What are you laughing at?" my mom snapped. "You think you won?" I said through the laugh. "You think you took everything from me?" My dad narrowed his eyes. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone and opened a different banking app. That money? It wasn't even mine anymore. Their faces twisted. "See, weeks ago I had a weird feeling, so I moved my real savings to a new account under a different name. The account you emptied? It was a decoy. Just enough to make it look real. My mom looked like she'd been slapped. My dad clenched his fists. "But here's the best part," I said, locking eyes with him. "You didn't just steal from me. You stole from yourselves. That account you hacked, it was filled with funds that you and Mom funneled through my name years ago to avoid taxes. Dirty money. The moment you moved it, you made it traceable. To you." Their faces went white. Ethan dropped his tablet. "You set us up," my dad growled. I shrugged. "No, I just protected myself. You did the rest." The room exploded into shouting, but I didn't care. I walked out feeling like I could breathe again for the first time in years. That moment changed everything. The betrayal didn't crush. It set something on fire inside me. I wasn't just fighting for my money anymore. I was fighting to get my life back. As I walked out of their house, that fake floral air freshener smell clung to my clothes like their lies, like it didn't want to let go. I went straight home, yanked my laptop open, and nuked everything, every file, every possible trace of that disgusting spyware. Then I texted Sarah, my best friend since college and a cybersecurity wizard, and told her everything. She didn't even hesitate. "Crash at my place," she said. Her apartment felt like breathing again, warm, messy, smelling like burnt coffee and old novels. I told her everything, the tracking software, the stolen money, my dad's smug little smirk, and watched the horror twist across her face. "James," she said, eyebrows raised, "I always thought your parents were controlling. But this is psychotic." Without wasting a second, she opened her laptop and dove into the spyware logs like a digital bloodhound. We stayed up all night, fueled by bitter espresso and pure rage. And what we found? It was way beyond just family betrayal. The $250,000 0-cents transfer wasn't the end. It was the start of a paper trail that led to a nest of fake companies, offshore accounts, and money being funneled through LLCs that barely existed. My parents weren't just greedy. They were full-blown criminals, scamming elderly people, faking donation programs, ghosting small business clients. All of it was tied to their so-called consulting firm. Ethan's startup? Funded with stolen cash. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Sarah turned her screen to me and said, "James, look at this." They hadn't just spied on method. They'd stolen everything about me. My social security number, my tax documents, my bank credentials. They'd created shell identities in my name, opened credit lines, even set up dummy companies. If the fraud ever got exposed, I was the fall guy. "They didn't just take your money," Sarah said, voice trembling. "They erased your identity. They were going to burn you to the ground and walk away clean." My heart was pounding. Ethan, my little brother, was tangled in this too. Not the mastermind, but definitely reaping the rewards, pretending not to know. I wanted to believe he was innocent, but deep down I knew he'd never stand against them. So we collected every shred of proof. Screenshots, IP logs, email trails, spyware code, transaction histories. We weren't just two angry friends anymore. We were building a case, and not just for me, but for the dozens, maybe hundreds of people my parents had conned. The final twist? That $250,000 0-cents they took, it wasn't even mine. I'd moved my real savings to a brand new account 3 weeks earlier. The account they drained was filled with their dirty money, cycled through me as a front. They didn't just rob, Mathy exposed themselves. We handed it all to a lawyer, then to the FBI. The agents looked bored at first, until Sarah showed them the spyware law. Then everything changed. Within days, a takedown was in motion. I wasn't there when it happened, but I've imagined it 100 times. My dad's smug face going blank. My mom trying to keep her cool, then cracking. They tried to spin it. They always spin it. Said it was my idea. Said I was unstable. Said I owed them. But the logs told the truth. The spyware they installed. The bank trails in their names. The fraudulent documents with my info. All of it stacked up layer by damning layer. They built their kingdom on lies, and I'd finally set the match. As they were hauled out of their fake office in handcuffs, I was standing 3 blocks away with Sarah, hands shaking, eyes burning, but finally free. The fallout was brutal. There was no soft landing, no quiet ending. When news of their arrests hit, it wasn't just whispers among neighbors, it went viral. Local headlines exploded, and then national outlets picked it up. The family on Maple Lane with their manicured lawn and fake smiles. Fraudsters. Their perfect image crumbled overnight. I remember scrolling through comment sections, watching strangers dissect my life. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years reached out, some with real support, but most just parroting the same old excuses. Are you sure it wasn't a misunderstanding? They always seemed like such good parents. And Ethan? Instead of owning up or even asking what really happened, he doubled down. He went on a rant online blaming me for tearing our family apart, calling me jealous, bitter, a traitor. That cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to believe he was just caught in their web, that maybe deep down he'd been innocent, but watching him twist the story to save himself, that told me everything. He wasn't trapped. He was choosing them. The legal process was long and exhausting. My lawyer became part therapist, part strategist. We worked to clear my name, step by step, document by document. The good news? The truth held up. My identity was restored, my credit unfrozen, and my real $250,000, 0 cents, safe, untouched. Their laundered money? Seized by the government. My parents got serious time years behind bars. No teary courtroom apologies, no letters from jail begging for forgiveness, just silence and consequences. I didn't visit, I didn't write, I didn't owe them closure. Through it all, Sarah never wavered. She stuck by me like the sister I never had. We'd sit on her balcony, talk about dreams, music, whatever was next. Some nights we cried, some nights we laughed until our faces hurt. Healing wasn't a straight line, it zigzagged through anger, grief, relief. But we made it. And one day I stood in front of a house with a key in my hand. Not the dream house I'd pinned on Pinterest or imagined a decade ago. This one was smaller, quieter, tucked away on a tree-lined street with no grand entrance, but it was mine. I opened the door and stepped into still air and fresh paint. No fake family photos, no staged perfection, just space to start again. I've filled it slowly. Bookshelves, a creaky couch, the smell of my favorite candles. The scars are still there, I won't lie, holidays hurt. Seeing other families gathered, laughing, posting perfect group shots. It stings, but I don't spiral anymore. I don't ask what's wrong with me. I know the answer. Nothing. I wasn't broken. I was manipulated by people who chose control over love. And now, I choose peace. I choose boundaries. I choose myself. That money, they thought it was the prize, but the real victory? It was me walking away head high, knowing I did the hard thing. Toxic families can gaslight you, make you question your worth, guilt you into silence, but survival means saying, no more. It means burning the old rulebook and writing your own. Sometimes the people who should love you most are the ones who tear you down. Facing that truth is painful, but it's the first step toward freedom. So, here I am, building a life not out of obligation, but out of truth. One day, I'll hang new pictures on these walls. Not for show, not to fake anything, just memories made from love and honesty. And maybe you're listening to this, sitting with your own wounds. Maybe you're asking, when is it okay to walk away? I'll tell you, when your peace costs less than staying, when the pain of holding on is greater than the fear of letting go. So, what about you? When did you draw the line, and what did it take to finally say, enough? If this story hit home for you, even just a little bit, don't scroll away just yet. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had to walk away from family to protect your peace? I read every single one. And if you've ever felt like the invisible one, the reliable one, or the one who got used, just know, you're not alone. Tap that like button if you've been through something similar. And if you want more real, raw stories like this one, go ahead and hit subscribe. I post new videos every week diving deep into wild Reddit tales and personal betrayals that'll make you rethink everything. And hey, turn on that notification bell so you never miss what's next. Because the biggest lesson from this story? It's that sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the very ones who will cross your boundaries. But standing up for yourself, even when it's scary, isn't selfish. It's strength. And building a life on truth, not manipulation, is the most powerful thing you can do. Stay strong, stay honest, and remember, you're allowed to choose peace even if it means walking alone for a while.